everybody, welcome back to another video. Today is the eagerly awaited, or I think it's eagerly awaited, judging by some of y'all's responses on my previous video, spoiler review over Rise of Skywalker. So forgive me if I sound weird, I am ill today. No, it's just some sort of head cold going around because of the season. It's uber foggy outside. I'm just looking out the window here, but nonetheless, we will prevail. So anyways, this video today is going to be about the Rise of Skywalker and my thoughts over the movie. So, there's a lot to go into this movie about. I guess early on we could say that this book is no longer useful. Actually, it really is. This is one of the first things I did after I saw it 2 times, and I did this after my second showing. I went and I flipped through this book to see how much I could find out about the Sith aspect that was in Rise of Skywalker, according to some of the Star Wars canon. I assume this, at this point, this is non-canon. This came out around the very same time Disney purchased Lucasfilm, but later on they came out with the canon rules. So anyways, there's actually some very interesting things in here that we'll get to later on. It is not a total, you know, toss away non-canon book. Actually, it almost feels like J.J. Abrams read this book when directing Rise of Skywalker. So we'll get into that. Overall, I did enjoy the movie. My first viewing, I really liked it, and my second viewing, I really liked it. And take that with a grain of salt. Definitely this movie has gotten some mixed reviews. I stayed away for the most part about reviews, but I heard that the critic review was really low, but audience score was really high. You get some people that are just absolutely hating it, but they're people that are probably going to hate it to begin with. It was a big movie. It had huge shoes to fill. It was the ending of a 9-movie saga. So, did it make the cut? Well, I definitely enjoyed the movie, and it was very fast-paced. That was one of the main complaints about it, I think, that I had heard, was that the first hour is super fast. It is. You go to, like, you go to Kijimi, you go to that one water planet where the Death Star fell in the Endor system, you go to that one planet that they're on when all the Resistance is at, you go to Exegol. I think that's it. Oh no, you go to that one planet with the sand, with the sinking pit. I don't remember the planet names, really. So you go a lot of places. You go on Kylo Ren's starship, so, you go back to Ahch-To Island, so you actually are in like 20 different places. Not 20, but I think that this was probably due to the fact that J.J. Abrams did not direct the middle movie, and so this was him trying to... People were saying that The Rise of Skywalker felt like a sequel to Force Awakens, and I definitely think that's true. It's probably because of director preference at that point. The Last Jedi, I think, even more than before now, is being written off as just being the worst Star Wars movie ever, which is kind of sad, but also probably pretty accurate. Just to be honest, we didn't really accomplish where The Rise of Skywalker, or The Last Jedi, was really slow. The Rise of Skywalker was really fast because J.J. Abrams, I think, was trying to incorporate everything that he wanted to get in to make it really an epic completion. So I definitely enjoyed the movie. As I was saying, I thought that it was fast-paced for me, but I get bored during boring like slower scenes, so it did not bother me whatsoever. I think that this time the secondary characters really took a back seat, which was kind of nice. I know with The Last Jedi, Rose kind of just took a foreground, and people were like, wait a second, I don't even know this character. She took a step back in this one, and she was still useful and still had parts, but she hung around with the Resistance side, so that was kind of cool. You did see her in a couple of action scenes. Dio, the droid, wasn't super overpowering. It was kind of sad. He just kind of seemed like a little abused puppy or something. Because he was on the ship from that Jedi Hunter, or the bad guy. Jedi Hunter? I don't know. He was that one dude that they found. And so he probably wasn't treated very nicely. So I didn't really get attached to Dio, but he also was kind of cute. C-3PO was the star of the show. I love C-3PO in this. He was super funny. Really glad that C-3PO got a bigger part. He's been kind of put to the wayside with the movies previously, and so it was really nice to see him actually take a leading role. Babu Frick was really cute. Again, the secondary characters that were introduced in this movie really didn't jump right into the mix, and I think that it worked. Like Babu Frick and Zori Bliss and Jana, or Jana, whatever. They all, you know, I think worked really good. Lando Calrissian coming in, really cool. Some people thought that he was underused. I thought he was used perfectly. He came in and saved the day last minute, just like they did in Return of the Jedi, which I thought was really cool. You see him kind of give some advice. You see him in 3 different scenes throughout the movie, and I don't think he's underused, to be honest. I mean, he's an older actor. He probably didn't want to jump into the action, so I thought it was fine. For sure, I really liked that part. Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher was a little bit hard because obviously she's passed away at this point in the movie and they did not do any digital renderings of her. So the scenes we got were kind of reskinned from what had been recorded previously, either in deleted scenes or extras or clips they didn't use or parts of the movie. And so I commend them for acting and writing around Carrie Fisher and the very select scenes they had of her, but she definitely felt kind of paper to me, kind of robotic, like she wasn't actually there taking in the story, because she wasn't, she's gone. And so it was something that I picked up. They kind of just reskinned her outfit, but I just saw a lot of like really similar things to what she'd done in the previous movies because she had already been filmed with those. And maybe it was just my prior knowledge of her, you know, obviously being gone, but she felt a little two-dimensional to me, and I mean, it couldn't be helped. However, I think that her death, while we all knew it was coming, Princess Leia is not Carrie Fisher's, but her death, while we all knew it was coming, was really good. I felt like it was like a Princess Leia death, you know, she reached out to her son, Ben, at the last moment. It was the last, you know, strict that she had, and then she died, and it was peaceful, and I loved at the end when they were like, Maz Kanata was like, goodbye, my dear princess. Oh, and then Darth Sidious later is like the princess of Alderaan. I love that they threw in the princess notions because she's been General Organa, or Leia. So I really liked that. In terms of, you know, the Kylo Ren and Rey, there's just so much to talk about, but I really enjoyed it. Had a few qualms with some things, but again, they're all pretty small for the most part. I came into this movie not knowing what to expect, and not being super thrilled coming off of The Last Jedi. I was just like, I'm excited to see it because it's Star Wars, but I just don't have super high hopes for it. And by the time I left the theater, I was really excited and so ready to go back for a second showing. I really liked the struggle that Kylo Ren was having with himself with trying to, you know, go to the dark side. And I think that Rey, we see a lot more character development with both of them, truthfully. And her being a Palpatine, it was still kind of far-fetched for me because Palpatine is so old that he just have a granddaughter. It should almost be like a great-granddaughter, but whatever. They went in and they did not answer all of our questions. That was a complaint. I don't care because we're going to have extension books and stuff that's going to help fill that out. I mean, you want to leave the lore a little bit mysterious. So, you know, we don't obviously know how he got to Exegol exactly, but it does hint that he has used those same powers that he told Anakin Skywalker about saving people from death on himself. So, but yeah, him being the grandfather of Rey is a little hard for me to wrap my head around, but it gives her person some importance. I think that the more fan favorite would have been that she was a Kenobi, so she was like Ben Kenobi's granddaughter or something, I think would have been, but I liked the struggle, like her knowing finally that she's from like evil. It's really sad because it's just her and then Darth Sidious, that's the only family. You do finally get to see her parents, but they aren't explained and you don't really know who they are still. Just that Kylo Ren mentions that your father is Darth Sidious's son, or Palpatine's son, so it's the dad who is the relative. Obviously, Kylo Ren and Rey together make a Force dyad, which is the first time they've explained this outside of lore, which is really cool. I loved all the lore that was in it. I felt like they really explored the like Force more. I definitely enjoyed that. I love that. And so they were a Force dyad. Sidious was super creepy. I mean, like, I just feel like Exegol, the planet, was a really good planet in terms of like it being super like ancient and evil, and the dark side has never felt so evil to me before. And I really, really liked it. And I'm assuming all of his followers were like Sith acolytes, like they might have actually been the Sith species that the Sith took their name from and their traditions and their garb from. That is actually something that is in the Book of Sith. Chancellor Palpatine, or Darth Sidious, also talks about finding a way to live again, and talks about cloning, which we've all seen in non-canon, and now I guess it's coming into full circle, because when Kylo Ren arrives on the planet, we see, you know, pieces of Snoke, which I thought was really cool, because he's clearly been cloning. Darth Sidious himself is, like, super freaking creepy. Like, I was, like, haunted by him. I really thought that Ian McDiarmid did a great job reprising his role. I think that it definitely felt like Darth Sidious to me, but something was a little off. I don't know. Maybe it was just because I just wasn't used to seeing he wasn't supposed to come back in these movies, and he just magically reappeared because he's alive again, I guess. I think it worked. I think there were some things that were kind of thinly masked or like kind of lazily masked over, brushed over to kind of make the story work. But I don't think that those things are enough to detract from me liking the movie. Like, Palpatine being alive all these years, I mean, he got thrown down a well. Does this take away from Darth Vader killing him? I don't think so. I think, personally, because we don't really know, I think that Palpatine, that was his dead body here, and that his force is, his dark side force energy is, like, still lingering in his dead body, and that giant machine that was really creepy was kind of like keeping his body from decaying further. Like, he was missing fingers and he had great eyes, and then so when the dyad came, he was able to pull life from them and kind of regenerate his body, and you get a really cool costume for Palpatine. Yes, he was easier to kill, but they just didn't have enough time in the movie, and so that is something that you have to kind of accept, I guess. I loved when he shot the Force lightning up and, like, you know, electrified all of the ships in space above him. I thought that was so cool. I just really got the sense that Sidious, or Palpatine, was really, really powerful in this movie, and, like, way darker than we'd ever seen him before, and I thought that was really cool. And yes, Rey did defeat him easily, because you would think he would know if somebody puts a lightsaber up and you're doing lightning, stop doing lightning, because he has had an assassination attempt on Mace Windu in that very same way. Assassination attempt. So that part was a little, I mean, it's like, how do you end a fight with somebody so powerful? But I just feel like it just was really done very quickly. Like, just Rey was, like, able, you know, to defeat him super easy, and he's been the main villain in all the movies. So that was a little hard to get. But I thought that it was still cool. I like how she grabbed her other lightsaber and did the double lightsaber, and he had all the Sith and she had all the Jedi. The Be With Me, oh my gosh. So good. We heard so many voices. A lot of them I couldn't recognize, and I had to read, you know, post-credit. Would have loved if we had seen their Force ghosts. I think that would have really helped it. But I mean, we got, like, Lumina Arduli, Aayla Secura, Ahsoka, Kanan, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, Anakin, Hayden Christensen, which was really cool. People were really excited about that one. Yoda, Mace Windu, so all of them. Fantastic. I really love that part. And then obviously we go on later after the Emperor's killed and Reylo is a thing. Kylo and Rey got shipped in real life in the movie, and I was so against the Kylo Ren and Rey relationship that fans started making after The Force Awakens. It was so annoying and I disliked it a lot. And actually by the time it happened in real life, you know, they obviously kissed. I didn't mind so much, which was kind of surprising. Their relationship had always been kind of odd, like there was something below the surface, and so I guess it was okay. They weren't, like, fawning after each other. It wasn't a love story, and so it's fine that they kissed at the end. That being said, like, Rey legitimately dies, and so that's really interesting. I would have liked to see them a lot more battle damage to show that they had died. I mean, I guess it just took so much strength from her that she just died. I don't know. And Kylo Ren, you know, climbs up from this crevice, and he heals her, which is really nice, because now he's been, and then he just dies. And I think that it was unexpected for him to die, because you didn't see that he was, like, really hurt. That was kind of an issue that I had. But other than that, I mean, I don't like that Ben died, but at the same time, I'm not super angry that he died, because I thought that I mean, in a traditional character arc, his arc has come to a conclusion. So he had, you know, rising, building anger. He had a climax, so the realization of that he's going to turn back, and then he has his good battle and descends. So the arc is set. So I understand that, and, you know, he doesn't have anybody left. But I was still surprised that he passed away. So that was interesting. In terms of did this movie tie together 9 movies? I think it's really a stretch to say that. Did it tie up the sequel trilogy? Absolutely. Did it tie up the original trilogy? I think so. I think it did. There were so many mentions. That one cool scene where Luke gives Rey Leia's lightsaber and is talking to her about the last night of Leia's Jedi training. I was like, yes, because I wanted Leia to be a Jedi. I mean, that's how it was in the old canon. Sorry, my nose is, like, super runny, so if I keep touching it, it's just why. But I wanted Leia to be a Jedi so bad in the old canon. And they did. They made it, and they showed a flashback scene, and it wasn't overpowering. It was amazing. You saw, like, young Mark Hamill, young Carrie Fisher, that they had, like, you know, CGI'd their faces. And it was just, like, a really, really cool moment. I loved it. It was one of my favorite parts. I really enjoyed that. So, that part was really cool. There was a lot of throwbacks. Obviously, you know, we have Lando. We've got, you know, the old crew, obviously, for original trilogy. we saw at the end Bespin and Endor, the moon of Endor, where Wicket and his son was, which I thought was so cute. At the end of the trilogy, he goes back to Luke's house. Rey buries the lightsabers, claims himself as a Skywalker, and then looks into the sun. People are going to be mad about Rey, like, calling herself a Skywalker because she's a Palpatine, but truly it's a story of adoption, I guess. It's a story about that sometimes your friendships are stronger than your actual family ties. And so I thought that was fine. That's something in real life that people can relate to. So it's fine. I mean, Rey came from a bad background. I wouldn't want to call myself a Palpatine either. And I loved Luke and Leia. I'm talking as Rey. And I loved Luke and Leia, and even Ben at the end. I would want to be a Skywalker. I'd be honored to take on that name. And so I don't see it as a bad thing, but I can see how people do think of it when it's Rise of Skywalker and yet there are no Skywalkers left. I definitely understand that. But it just is what it is. And I thought it was fine. Yeah, I definitely cried at the end of the movie. I just couldn't help it. It was just like, it's my Star Wars, and it was wrapping up, and I've been a fan, not as long as some people, but since 2005, I saw the first conclusion to the saga in episode 3 in theaters, and then seeing it again, and just knowing that that's it was just really emotional. And, you know, they did a bit of fan service, which I don't mind. I mean, they threw in some things that they thought fans would like, and I liked it, so I'm not complaining. But yeah, going to Luke's house and burying the lightsabers, and then they see Rey sees Luke and Leia's ghosts. I thought, oh my gosh, it was really good, but I thought that it could have been better if Hayden Christensen was there or Ben was there, just so all the Skywalkers that are Force sensitive could have looked back at her, because we didn't see Ben again after he disappeared. I definitely wish that we had seen Hayden Christensen at some point. We heard his voice, but if he would have talked to Ben at some point and come back as a Force ghost, it would have been amazing. But I think that truly what it was is Lucasfilm was scared to use the prequel characters in that much Force because of the negative response that it got for so long. I mean, clear up until the sequel trilogy. So it's funny, people hated the sequels, and then that's all they wanted to see in Rise of Skywalker. So I mean, it's one of those beggars can't be choosers. There were some mentions that tied it to the prequel trilogy. C-3PO mentioning that he couldn't speak in Sith because the Republic Senate had voted against it and made it illegal for him to do so, protocol droids to do so. That was a callback. There were, I'm probably missing a few. Darth Sidious himself was a callback because he spanned all of the movies for the most part. And that's like, well, what do you do to tie in all the movies? You get a character that's in all of them other than C-3PO. Darth Sidious. It has been a main villain in every single trilogy. So I see where it made sense, where it seemed like a good move to put Darth Sidious in. I definitely see that. And then there was one more that I'm totally thinking. Oh yeah, when all the Jedi voices came through and were talking, that was a tie back to the prequel trilogy. But we didn't see any worlds that were in the prequel trilogy, which would have been really cool. They could have like flown to Camino or something. I don't know. But yeah, the ties I think to the prequel trilogy were pretty thin. The original trilogy much stronger, and then the sequel trilogy, obviously it wrapped it up. So I think for what J.J. Abrams had to work with, that he did a good job with what he had. And this video is getting kind of long, so I'll just wrap up my thoughts. Out of 10, I give this movie an 8.5. I thought it was very well done. I guess, let me clarify my rating. Nothing gets a 10. So 8.5 is really good. If you consider, you know, like, I guess it would be 9.5 would be probably the best ever I'd give a movie. Just because there's gonna be flaws. But 8.5, it was really freaking good. I mean, I think it's in my top favorite movies. Let everything that happens sink in and see kind of where it ranks, but right now it definitely is in the top 5 of my movies. I thought it was super entertaining, very visually good. The lightsaber battle was fun. The characters were more developed. The secondary characters were not overpowering. Finn and Poe weren't annoying. There were lots of jokes that I thought were funny, whereas in The Last Jedi they weren't so funny. Cool new planets. I loved the lore. The lore was huge in it. I thought that Sidious, while his return was a little weird, the execution of it was really good. I really liked his character. It was very haunting. I think about it still. So overall, I thought it was a great movie. I think that Disney did an okay job with this one. So Rogue One and Rise of Skywalker. They've got 2 on the board for me. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think in your comments below. I know that some of y'all are going to completely disagree with me. It's just me sharing my opinion, but I'm curious to hear what you have to say. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching and have a fantastic day. Bye.